Hey, it's Tom Bartels again from GrowFoodWell.com. If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in growing food. And our upcoming video series on growing food well is going to cover many of the best ways of doing so. But I wanted to get something out to you right away so you can get focused on spring planting now that things are warming up. In this video, we'll show you the easiest ways to find out when to plant seedlings and direct seeds in your area. It can be frustrating to not have a good idea of when to start planting. If you plant too early, your seedlings could freeze. Too late and you've wasted valuable time during the early growing season. It's a common question, and unfortunately there's no one answer. It's a bit of a black art. But it's all based on the averages of climate history in your particular area. So, one of the first steps to get your answer is to find the data for your location. If you're looking for a simple answer and just want to plant all your veggies on the same day, we can get you there too. You'll still need to know the general frost dates in your area. So let's check out some ways to get there. Okay, so we're going to drop into the first site here. It's the NOAA Satellite Information Service, and working in concert with the National Climatic Data Center. Easiest way to get here is put NNDC climate data into Google. That's NNDC climate data. Put that in Google and it'll bring up this page. When you get to this page, if you look on the search options over here on the right, you want to hit Data Set Product. Click on that, and that will bring you to the next page, which will have a nice little list inside the box here, and you want to scroll down to US Climate Normals. It's the last one on the list, so you'll highlight that and then hit this button below that says Access Data Products, and that will bring you to this page. And you'll notice on this list of free data sets, about the fifth one down is frost-free data 1971 to 2000. So click on that, and that brings you up into this interactive frost-free data climate summary that's state by state. They're in PDF format, so you just scroll down in this box here to find your state, and we're in Colorado, so we'll choose Colorado. And once you click on that, and it brings up the freeze dates for the state of Colorado, and it's broken down by town here on the left side. So I'm just going to go through this really quick for you because it's a little confusing if you don't know what's going on this chart. Let's take the town of Bailey and pretend that's where we live. So I want to look at Bailey's data, and the first thing you look on the left here is the threshold, and that's Fahrenheit degrees. So this is 36 degrees, 32 and 28 would be the hard freeze. 32 is typically what people will look at for their freeze dates. And also, most people will be looking at the 50% probability level. Now, this 90, 50, 10 probability level that you see across the top, it simply means that if you take the correlative date, so down here in Bailey, on June 22nd, at the 36 degree mark here, June 22nd, there's a 90% probability that after June 22nd, it will be 36 degrees or below at some point. If you go on later, July 6th, there's only a 50% chance that it'll be 36 degrees after that date. And then further down, there's only a 10% chance that that after July 21st, it'll get to 36 degrees or below. So you're looking at a descending probability of lower temperatures as you move into summer, of course. But most people work off the 50% probability level and also the 32 degree mark. So that looks like for the town of Bailey, June 24th is about a 50% chance that there will be a 32 degree freeze after that point. And that's pretty good odds because if you look only about a week later, in between this date and the 10% probability, you're probably going to be down to about 40% or below chances of getting down to 32, and 30%, 20%, and then by July 13th it's down to 10%. So it's a pretty good date to look at as a general starting date. Some people will put a week of time beyond that date just to be sure, so you could push it a week later. But that's how to quickly find your freeze dates and the 50% probability in your town. So you can pull up this list state by state and then find your town or the one that's closest to you. So that's how this particular chart works. So now I'm at the old Farmers Almanac site, and what you're going to do is click the fourth one down. That'll bring you to gardening, and then you want to click the next one down below the gardening, which is best planting dates for seeds based on frost. So when you click on that, what's nice about the old Farmers Almanac is it gives you a lot of information. In this case, it's going to customize this list for my particular location in Durango based on a 50% probability of frost-free after June 14th, which we saw on the other chart. So sometimes these dates will range anywhere between 2 to 5 days, but this is going to give you the basic last frost date within a 50% probability. So at that point, the Farmer's Almanac separates these into the seeds you want to start indoors, if that's what you're into for season extension, or if you wanted to plant directly into the garden, it's going to be a little later, and they give you the calendar for that activity as well. So let's look at broccoli really quick. If you wanted to start the broccoli indoors in Durango, somewhere between April 19th and May 3rd is a good time to start the broccoli. If you wanted to start the seeds in the ground, you'd have to wait till May 24th to the 31st. So you'll notice you're going to lose some time there if you're just direct seeding. And on a short growing season, it's something you might want to think about. So if you started the seeds indoors April 19th, you're going to gain a full month of growth for the broccoli so that you can get it back outside in late May, and it'll continue growing instead of starting the germination process at that point. So this is where you get into season extension for those people that have shorter growing seasons. And it has it for many of the common vegetables, so it's really a nicely laid out chart that gives a lot of extra information. There's also directions on planting by the moon, and in this column here for moon favorable dates, they're a little bit more dialed in based on whether the moon is waxing or waning. Now here we are on the National Arboretum site. And what you can do is find out your particular zone of your plant hardiness zone, and you can just click on the different states, and it'll bring up that particular state's data. So in this case, it pulled up Colorado. Let me get this over here, and I can look into my county and notice that based on the color code, we're kind of shifting between a 5B and a 6A in the Durango area right here. So it's a real quick way to find out what your particular zone is, and then you can choose plants accordingly, because most of the plants on their packaging somewhere, it'll give you the zone that they're appropriately grown in. And that'll give you an idea whether you're extending that zone for that plant or not, and whether it's a good match for your growing season. Now we're on the Department of Agriculture webpage, and most counties have an extension office. You can find out lots of information through your county extension office. And on this page, you can access the main national map for locating yours. I'll jump to Colorado here, and it'll pull up county by county where to access the information from your particular extension office. And what's nice about that versus going through a national office is it's going to have more custom climate data for your particular location. So in this case, I'm in La Plata, so I'm going to bring up the La Plata Extension Office, and there it is. So if you go to that site, you can find out where your extension office is. And a lot of times they'll have classes on all kinds of things for gardening, and it's a really good resource to try to use. Remember, the dates we're looking at here are just guidelines. They're not locked down planting dates. There's more variability than you might think in all the microclimates in each county, depending on your solar aspect and whether you're in a valley or a windy spot and all kinds of other factors. But you'll want to know the general freeze dates in your area as a baseline. And I hope this video helped you along those lines. Of course, in gardening, as with most things, everything seems to be connected to everything else, and there are many other subjects related to this one. What cool season crops can you plant first? Seedling starter systems, seedling soil recipes, soil blocks, season extension techniques, hoop houses, how to avoid damping off, and many other subjects. We'll have loads of info on that in upcoming videos. Sign up if you haven't already. We'll be launching our video training series in the coming weeks, and you can be on the limited list of viewers. If you're interested in a step-by-step process on growing food, enter your email below this video window on growfoodwell.com if you're not on the list already, and I'll be sending you some more stuff soon.